Hello everybody, I'm Dakian. This is Monday the 7th of November 2016 and it's time for my weekly updates on finished painting. And now first off I'm showing you the minis that are of a little bit higher quality. We'll get to those, that horde of Zulus later. But first off we have these three Frostgrave minis. We have the Necromancer, the main wizard, and his apprentice. I painted them mostly dark colors. I didn't want to go all the way to black or gray because I feel that's a little cliche and also it's a little boring. Same thing with their opponent, the Lich King. Though, maybe turned out a little bit matte. Maybe I should have gone a little bit brighter, but he does have some metallics that kind of, and there's a few highlights on there, so, it's okay. And then we have these old GW models. We have the Banshee, and the Wraith. Now this guy is really dark. Again, he's not gray, it's a very, very dark blue. As you might be able to tell, and hopefully you can see the highlights. It's a rather simple model. Overall, these plastics, they're a bit unstable when they're this sort of tall and wobbly. And this one was, I don't know. I prefer the old school metal minis. I mean, you can't get these wild poses. On the other hand, the wild poses are really difficult to paint in a way that is interesting. So, it's a bit of a give and take. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with how those went. So, yeah, let's see what's in the works. So let's look at all the stuff that's in the works. Now, for these, the Tomb King and the Tomb Queen, I suppose, I don't think anything has happened since last week. Really, I don't remember. I think I haven't done anything on them, unfortunately. This Necromancer has gotten a few more licks of paint, but it's not a ton of work. He's moving along slowly. Now for new stuff that's been prepped. So we have these sort of humorous guys where all I've done is prime them. Well, I cleaned them, primed them, and I've started laying out a base coat for the skin. I'm thinking of some sort of olive green for this orc here. And these two guys are both dwarves. I've made this one a bit more tan. I think I'm going to give him a darker, more sunburnt look at the end because he looks like he's out in the sun more than this guy who's more covered up. What's next? Oh yes, here we have the ones that I've put on these new holders. This is the Orc Princess, and I'm painting her with these bits unattached at first, at least, because she's holding her arms clasped behind her back, and if I it's this little bit here. If I glued that on, it would cover up the back and, well, the top part of her butt, and it would be really hard to reach those and paint them. Yeah. So I am waiting to attach those. And finally, the two snakes. This one is not an actual snake. This is the iron cobra, as it's called. And you can see what I've done. I've, put the basing material on, primed them, and just put a very quick base coat of a dark brown, so I can separate what's the model from the base. So you can see what I'm going to paint. And this one is coiled around a big rock. I should paint the rock before I start painting the actual snake. so I can see the difference. Now for this one, it was kind of interesting. It had the top half of the head. There were two options, and I chose the more interesting one, the one with the sort of horns on it. The other one was just a plain snake head, which I suppose is fine if you want to paint sort of a natural looking snake, but hey, I always go for the more fantasy option. And yeah, that is it. Well, no, it's not it, because I still have the Zulus to show you. And interestingly, these are not entirely even on the bottom. This one is more so. This one can wobble a little bit, but that doesn't really matter because it's so wide and it's not going to fall over anyway. It's not perfectly flat. Oh well, let's look at the Zulus. And here's the first 10 Zulus finished. You'll notice that I'm not zoomed in too closely because they don't bear close inspection. They're very, very simply painted. I have not even painted their eyes. That's how, you know me, I'm a stickler for eyes, and if I haven't even painted the eyes on these, then they are very, very quick and easy, dirty paint jobs. For the shields, I went with the white and red idea from the box art, even though my research shows that, actual Zulu shields, they're just covered in cow hides, and they're kind of splotchy hides. They have patterns of pale and darker brown on them mostly, but because these guys are rather simple and generally dark in coloration, I thought this idea of having really bright shields was appealing. And again, these are not going to be historical Zulus. They're going to be some sort of fantasy tribesmen somewhere in a D&D world or something. And the shields look a little bit dirty anyway because I've simply done Army Painter Strong Tone overall wash on these to bring them together. And yeah, they look okay, I think. I'm not sure how they're going to look on camera, but in person they're fine for what they are. So this is the next batch of Zulus with just primer on them. And in case you're wondering why have I primed them so pale, shouldn't I prime them black or something, considering how they're going to end up? But that's because like I said, I want the shields and a couple of other portions to be bright as contrast, and it's easier to start with a light colored primer. This is my old standby favorite Skeleton Bone from Army Painter, by the way. It's better to start with a light primer and then sort of shade down if you're going to paint quickly. That's easier than priming dark and trying to paint up, highlight up. Highlighting takes longer than shading. Yeah. But we'll get started. Looking at this final third batch of Zulus. You can see what I've done is I've glued them to bases, glued on the heads, and I've put some green stuff down to smooth out the transition. Next up, I'm going to add some arms. I've got a couple of little arms here. You can see these sprues, all that's left on these sprues is arms. These were just the bodies and arms sprues, and I've used up all the bodies. There's going to be some arms left over, but I'm a hoarder, so I'll save them, and I don't know when I'll ever use them for anything. These sprues contain the heads and the weapons, including shields. As I've mentioned, all the shields are going to be used. None of the guns. But there will be a lot of heads left afterwards, and a lot of weapons, guns, and spears, and whatnot. So lots of bits left over. Now for the wagon, I've decided to put that back in its box for a while because I've taken a look at the pieces of it. This is the bed and the horse, and here we have the seat and the two farmers. And here's the sides of the wagon, the wheels, and the harness for the horse. Now I've measured the length of the bed of the wagon, the length of the horse, and decided that I'm going to need a bigger base. I'm going to need to get more, at least one more of those big oval bases you've seen me use, the 120 by 90 millimeter bases. For example, I used for the evil lord of this litter, and for the huge monstrous spider from Heresy. Yeah, gotta buy some more of those because I'm all out of them. And I don't know when I'll get around to placing that order, because I have to order that from overseas probably, so it won't be until I have a good reason to order some more stuff from that same retailer. So, but at least I have an idea about what needs to be done with this project once I get going with it. And here I've picked out what I think will be the next projects I take on. A bunch of Frostgrave minis from North Star. And you can see we have the constructs here. These are all metal minis, by the way. I'm showing you the pictures of studio paint jobs. And here's what the mini looks like. Here's the large construct, which is a sort of a wooden golem. This one, yeah, this is a small wooden golem and a sort of rag golem. I'm not sure what to call it. And here we have the stone golem, or a construct as they call it, and a flesh golem. They're a bit more cartoony. I painted a flesh golem from Heresy a little while back, which was more, I don't know, realistic, if you can call it that. This one, as I said, is a bit more cartoony. But I also have a couple of demons. Well, here's the imp and minor demon. This is what they look like. They're metal. And the big major demon was actually resin. Well, no, the head is metal, but the body, everything else is resin. So it's a combined kit. Anyway, these are not just for Frostgrave. I mean, they can be used for Frostgrave. They can be used for any sort of fantasy role-playing game as well. Of course, you need demons and golems anywhere. And yeah, so that's what I'm looking at. In the new arrivals category, for once, it's not a Kickstarter. This is actually a package that came in from Reaper Miniatures. I ordered from them during their October promotion, where you got some free stuff if you placed an order. But let's first look at what I actually bought. See, when I looked at their websites, I noticed that they were, it seemed, closing out stock on their box sets. And there were several minis that I've been looking at that I wanted. And in fact, one of them had already gone out of stock. So I made sure to pick up the remaining ones that had the most desire or need for. And one of them was the Tree Man Mossbeard, which this is actually two minis. There's the actual Treant and a Dryad. And they come in this sort of plastic carrying case. Let's see if they've been jostled around. And here you can see that this is the Dryad, and these are the pieces for the actual tree creature. Now this is metal. This is all metal, so it's going to be pretty heavy. I don't know if they are planning on just re-releasing these in plastic and bones material, maybe. If that's why they're sort of not refilling their stock, or whether they simply weren't selling well enough. The other one I had to get 2 kits to get to the €70 level, so I got free shipping, is the T-Rex. The one that I couldn't get because it was out of stock was the Triceratops, the other big dinosaur. But I did get a T-Rex, Tyrannosaurus, and let's see what he looks like. He's also, this is, oh my god, this is a huge chunk of metal, and they've hauled it out here in the middle where the legs go to save a little bit of weight. But this thing is, wow, this is like close to 1 kilogram of metal, I'd say, just this piece. And once it's finished, it certainly will be at least 1 kilo. So yeah, this is the sort of thing that really should be made in resin or hard plastic. But what was the actual promotion about? Well, the promotion was that you get a little goodie bag, and the goodie bag is this. It contains 1 mini, not a very special mini. This is a Bones. This is one of the giant beetles. You know, I had a bunch of these before and painted them up, so I'm going to have to try to replicate that paint job. You got 2 bottles of paint that are appropriate for the seasons. We have Fresh Blood and Vampiric Skin, a sort of red and a light pink color. And they tossed in some candy. Yeah. Also in the box was another paint bottle. This one is another pink color, more a bright pink. It doesn't say which color it actually is from the range. This seems to be another promotion. It's to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Yeah, that, I don't know, I guess they had these left over and just tossed them into the mix. Oh well, I don't mind getting free paint, though I do have a lot of pink right now. A lot of bottles of different shades of pink. I'll never run out of pink. Anyway, so that was a look at what I've been up to the past week and what I'm planning to get up to. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you join me again next week. Until then, just click the like button, subscribe, comment, you know, the usual stuff. Until then, I'm Dakian, and I'm signing off.